Hi, thanks for tuning in today to Front Porch Conversations. We're here today at the Harmony Center, and it's a beautiful day out. And we have two wonderful guests with us today, Roy Ames and Alice Ames. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for asking us.
And I understand that you've lived here quite a long time at the village, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Roy, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in New London, Connecticut, Waterford, Connecticut, right outside New London. Grew up through high school in that area. Then moved to college, went to Gordon College, and from there up north into the Maine area, Maine, New Hampshire area.
Well, we'll get back to that in a little bit. Alice, what about you? Where were you born?
I was born in Plainfield, New Jersey, Muhlenberg Hospital, which isn't there anymore.
And did you live there through your...
Yes, I went to grade school and graduated high school from there, then went on to college for a year and so forth.
Roy, what are some of your fond memories of childhood?
Oh, I don't know. Friends, actually. Did a lot with peers, a lot of bicycle riding. We lived within about 3 miles of the ocean, so we rode our bikes to the water summers, and lived near the woods, so we spent a lot of time in the woods as well. So we just had a normal childhood growing up with a lot of friends.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Pardon?
Do you have brothers and sisters? Or
I have one brother, yes. He's a year and 19 days younger than I am.
And did you get into mischief together?
No.
Okay, good. And that's
No,
the truth?
My father saw it to the fact that we didn't get into it.
Alice, what about you? What is a fond childhood memory?
Well, one memory I think that I have was I'm an only child, and my mother was from Boone, North Carolina, and Daddy promised my grandmother that he would send her down every summer. So we would go there, and that's where all my relatives were. I had about 3 cousins that lived in New Jersey that were boys, but the rest of everybody was in Boone, and that involved the Advent Christian Church in Boone, and we didn't have dinner on the grounds. We would go over to one of my uncle's homes and have dinner, and that was the highlight of my life growing up, is getting down to Boone and being with my relatives.
Well, that's a beautiful place to go.
It is.
Were you, did you go in the summers or?
Yes, just the summers. I did live there 1 year. Daddy was a carpenter, and he went to see if he could find work so we could stay in North Carolina. And of course, he couldn't, because he was part of the union up in New Jersey and had more work opportunities. So I went to freshman year in Appalachian High School in Boone, North Carolina. Then we moved back, and then I finished up at North Plainfield High School. Shall I tell you the year?
If you would like.
I graduated high school in 1952, and then went on to NEST for a year.
Well, is the Advent Christian Church in Boone where it was when you were growing up?
Yes, it's still there. It's a beautiful little church, all stone. It's granite, I think. It's just beautiful. And maybe someday it'll get on the Historical Society.
The reason I
Yes.
ask is I was there a few summers ago, and
Okay.
we were driving by and went, there's the Advent Christian Church, because you don't always see them on your way
No.
somewhere, but
Right in the middle of town.
right in the middle of town, that was when you
So
said that.
those are good memories. I had good memories at home too. My dad, he would make Christmas very special. He would build a fireplace. We lived in an apartment, and fix it up so it looked like it was burning, and hang the socks, and put out the tea and the cookies. So I had a good childhood as an only child. But you just don't know what you miss, though, when you're just one.
I can relate to that. I'm one too. Roy, you said that you started your college experience. Would you talk a little bit about that?
college experience? When I graduated from high school, I went to Gordon College. I was there for three and a half years, 2 years, and then a year out, and then another year and a half went back. And then my degree is from the University of New Hampshire, which was 20-some years later. I tell people I had a 28-year college career.
When you went to Gordon, did you want to go in the ministry? Was
Yes.
that your...
Yeah, it didn't work out that way, but that was the goal when I went there. I ended up, after my junior year, getting married and moving to Maine, and went to work at the shipyard in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So I spent 28 years at the shipyard in Portsmouth.
And Alice, how did you and Roy meet?
Well, we were introduced by a mutual friend at the Rochester Advent Christian Church in the evening service. And since Roy's brought it up, we've both been married before, and I was single with 2 kids. And I was in the Farmington church, but then I started going to the Rochester church. And it was kind of funny because back then it was young adults, and the young adults had a meeting, and they were going to, they asked me to come, and I said, no, I feel like a thumb. I don't want to go, you know. And apparently, while that was going on, Roy stopped and wanted to ask him if he wanted to go swimming. And this was Paul Reynolds, a close friend. And apparently Roy stayed a little while at the party. And next thing, after he left, they told us, these couples, Ron Walton, Althea, all of them, and Fran and Paul Reynolds, there was a bunch of them. They stood around and talked to decide whether to introduce him to me.
So I guess they did.
They did. Yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting. And the kids took to him too, so that was very nice.
And how long ago was that?
Well, we've been married 52 years now, so it was 53, probably 53 and a half years ago.
And what about your children? Where are they?
Well, I have a boy in Rochester, New Hampshire, Thomas Dow Ransom, and I have a daughter who's retired now with her husband, and they've moved to Punta Gorda, and they have a couple of children, and her name is Catherine Ransom Reynolds. She married our good friend's youngest brother, 24 years between them, the 2 brothers, and my daughter has married the youngest one. So let's see, what else
It
should I
was the
tell you?
oldest one that introduced the 2 of us.
Oh, okay.
And stood up with us too.
And what about you, Roy? Children?
I have 2 of my own. Yeah, 2 daughters. They're both in Connecticut. As a matter of fact, Dottie's just finishing
At 60.
at 60 her bachelor's degree and looking forward to going on for a master's degree.
Good for her.
So,
Yep.
and Lori opened a restaurant in Connecticut and went through a career in that restaurant. She's now sold out, but she did very well in the restaurant business.
I understand that's a hard business to make a living in.
I guess.
And I'm particularly in the last year or so. for
Yeah,
sure.
she was in Saybrook, Connecticut, in a very what do I want to
Well,
put?
it was probably a good place to be.
Yeah, a lot of summer trade, just off the Connecticut River.
Roy, help us get from your time at the shipyard till you're becoming involved in church work.
Well, I actually, when I was at the shipyard, I planted a church in Berwick, Maine, and was there, 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years in
about
that.
5 years in the church plant. And then when I left there, I went to work with Clint Tabor, who was the superintendent of the Eastern Region. And my job for him was to visit the church plants, to encourage the church planters. And so I traveled all over New England for the Eastern Region. I did that up until the time I retired and we came down here.
And Alice, what were you doing during those years?
Oh, let's see, what was I doing? I was,
Supporting me
well,
in a very real way.
I worked in Farmington, New Hampshire, and I was at Davidson Rubber Company, and they made, you know, all the side things in your car and the visor, everything. And worked there 7 years as a secretary. Then I went to the University of New Hampshire, and I worked there 26 years as a secretary in the Dean's Office of the Engineering and Physical Sciences Department, and enjoyed it very much. It was wonderful. And then we retired. Well, the Lord was good to us, very good to us.
Did you come to the village directly after retirement, or did you?
Yes, well, after I retired. And at that point, his mother lived in Rochester with us. She was from Connecticut, and she'd passed away. And Daddy and Mother moved up, and Roy built an apartment onto the house for them. And Daddy had passed away, so it was just my mother. So when we came down here after I retired, and it was in '97, Mother came with us and lived in Dowling House, and she passed away, had a heart attack. So we've been down here now, and I like it. I don't want to go back up north, but Roy would love to go skiing. I could just see him.
Well, I was an avid skier.
You like to ski.
All of the stuff that goes with the mountains, you know.
Well,
I did a lot of hiking. I've walked I've climbed all of the presidential range.
Oh, wow.
In New Hampshire, so I did a lot of hiking.
What was your first introduction to the village?
Well, I try to think when it was, but we came down to Tampa to conference in Tampa, and Ray and Pat Penny were with us. And you know, I can't remember if we had rented a car or what, but anyway, we came up and visited, and liked it. Went out. Some property was for sale in Butterfield Acres, of which Dave Northup's dad, I can't think of his name.
Arthur.
Oh, Arthur called us and told us it was for sale, and it just so happened we bought 2 lots, and the second lot belonged to
Ray Bowden.
Ray Bowden and his wife, and she sold that to us, and we plunked our house right in the middle. So there's where we are today.
So you're off-campus members.
We're off-campus
but have been
members.
very active through the years.
We've been members ever since we came here. I mean, it was
Members
our
of the
purpose
church,
to
yeah,
be
members.
part of the village.
We
I always wanted to be part of the village, but I wanted to build my own house. And of course, I couldn't build in the village because they built for you. So I built my own house out there.
And by that you mean with hammers and nails and
Yes.
all the labor? That's wonderful.
Brick and mortar. Yes.
We've got a nice home. We've got to get a new roof. 20 years now. It's time to start doing everything again. But we've really enjoyed it here, very, very much. This is home. I like the village. I'm very pleased the way they did the COVID problem. And we got our shots. It was, you know, your social coordinator and Mr. Skank, they come in and get your shots, you know, and fixed it up. So
hadn't hardly been here, and they were without a pastor in town. They asked me to go in town and preach. And I started my preaching among the AC here in Florida.
And you've been in a number of different churches over these
Yeah,
years.
I've been in Jasper. Where else we've been?
Right over here in the Baptist church.
Over in the Baptist church in Bethel Creek.
Bethel Creek.
I pastored there. So I've pastored pulpits, temporarily, different places.
Yeah, made a lot of new friends. It's very nice.
How would you describe each of you coming to faith, Roy? What about you?
Pardon?
When did you first know when did you first get to know God and Jesus?
I accepted the Lord when I was 8, and literally grew up in the church. I started Sunday school at 3, so I don't know what it would be like not to be in a church. I've just always been there. It's my life. It's always been church has always been part of my life. Yeah, up through youth and then of course going to Gordon to college. But
Roy, in your teen years, you were involved in church?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my upper years of high school, I actually pastored a small church that my mother had grown up in. I took the church because they didn't have a pastor. So I started pastoring in my teen years. So it almost is like I've always been somewhere involved in church work. We went to Sunday school and church in the morning, Sunday school and church in the afternoon, young people's at 6 o'clock, evening service at 7, Singspiration at 9. That was my Sunday. That was standard Sunday process.
Alice, what about you?
Well, I was 16 when I accepted the Lord as my Savior, and I was in a Christian Missionary Alliance church, and I went to, I'm trying to think, I went to, I think, Madison Square Garden and made my public, and got up and went down front. And the thing that I remember is that they had to wait forever because they didn't have enough personal workers in the wherever we were, Madison Square Garden, I think, to help everybody. That bothered me, But anyway, that was where I decided I'll follow Jesus.
And then you were very involved in Roy's ministry too.
Well, sort of in the background a little bit, not, like the one that's taking care of the kids during church, a little nursery. And I remember at Berwick, I always bought Dunkin' Donuts, donut holes, and took care of, people could have some punch and stuff like that. And but I never really liked being in the forefront. Like being in charge of, I wanted somebody else to do mission work, and I'd be part of it, but I did not really want to be the head. I like to be the whatever it is.
The hands and feet.
The hands and feet.
Tremendous support.
And that's critical to any pastor, I know it has to be. Let's talk a little bit about some of your hobbies and favorites. And Roy, I bet yours is a 4-letter word. Golf?
It is now. I never played golf really until I came down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was into horses. I had all of my married life, I had horses. So I showed and I judged and I trained horses. I was very much into the horse world for years. In fact, it was just before we came down here that I finally got rid of the horses.
Did you have a particular breed that you liked, or?
I was hunters and jumpers.
Leopard.
Not a particular breed, but anything that would jump would be fine.
So you got to Florida and you discovered golf.
Yeah, I needed some kind of a hobby, and I don't know really how I got started with golf, but I got started and haven't stopped since.
Well, I can tell you. He, when we first came down, he would go swim laps very faithfully in the community center. And then he came down with colon cancer and had to have an operation. And after that, I don't know exactly how he got into golf, if somebody took you or what. Oh, I know how. Rosa Strumbeck is his first cousin. She's in the nursing home now. But her son is an avid golfer, and he gave Roy a whole set of golf clubs, nice ones, that he had gone somewhere and had special ones done for himself. And he gave, I can't think what they were.
They're a regular set of clubs.
I know the name. And so I started playing golf, and it really caught on. And it's good, he walks. So he gets his exercise in. So that's good. I don't want to play golf. I like to watch it. I love watching it. I loved watching the Masters.
That was a fun tournament, wasn't it?
That was very interesting. Beautiful course, like here. Mm-hmm. I think it's beautiful here. Mm-hmm.
Do you have other hobbies, Alice?
Oh, I like to do crossword puzzles, easy ones. And I like to read. And I don't know, my whole thing is tidy the house. This is my problem. His is not tidy the house. Mine is tidy the house. So
mine is mess the house.
Well, see, both of you have an important job.
Right.
So anyway, I'm mostly doing things in the house. And however, now I'm older, and I've lost my taste and smell. I don't cook. Very good excuse. And we come up to the dining hall every day. And I'm very thankful that they have it here. It's been wonderful during the COVID that we could eat. I can't say enough for the village. It's been something that I've really enjoyed. So I don't do too many things.
Well, over the years, I've watched you come to the dining room, while I was working, and I thought, gosh, that's a great, you had a whole table usually, and what a lot of socialization must have happened around that table.
Right, much of our social life happens at noontime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is very nice to see people we knew in college, and now we're back with them. And we've got a lot of friends here and some relatives.
Well, I've been involved in music in one way or another. But when I was up north, I directed choir for several years. And then when I came down here, I got to leading the evening song service back when John was still here. And that's happened, and I've still been involved in the music ministry in one way or another. Mm-hmm. My folks gave us music lessons. When I was in 4th grade, I started playing the accordion, and it's been that and to teach music. And I wanted to go into the band when I went into high school, and of course you can't play an accordion in the band. So I took up tuba and played 4 years of tuba in the high school band, and I just stayed with that type of music, especially instrumental music, over the years.
Do you still play your accordion?
Occasionally. I have it in the box right next to the desk, but I don't take it out as much as I used to.
I've always enjoyed accordion music.
I enjoy it, and my father loved it, and which is why I played. Actually, my brother played trumpet, and I played accordion, and we played together. Played in church every Sunday night, but he and I played together all the time, played around.
I think having music in your background is a great gift for you for your whole life.
Yeah.
I don't, but I as a participant, no, but as an observer and an enjoyer.
And me too.
Alice, what advice would you give a young person today?
Oh dear. The world has gone so fast and changed so much that I really wouldn't know what to tell someone. I mean, I feel like I'm hanging on, as it's going along, all this new technical stuff. I don't get near a typewriter, I don't get near a computer. Of course, I would tell a young person to keep Christ in their life and listen to Him, read their Bible. It will talk to them. Otherwise, I'm not that smart to know what they should be doing, but they can get help through their faith if they want it. So I would tell them that.
Roy, what about you? What advice?
The way the world is going, it's more important than ever to fix your eyes on the Lord and stay there and understand the dynamics of knowing Christ and knowing the Word and its relationship to where the world is going. And the world is going downhill fast, and unless we have a solid understanding and grasp of the Lord Jesus Christ, we're not going to be able to survive. There's nothing for us. And I'd say, people, get your eyes fixed on Jesus. Fix your eyes on the Word. Know the truth. The trite statement, you should know the truth and the truth shall make you free, is very real today, because our freedom is in knowing Christ and in knowing the Word.
That's so important, and I appreciate you sharing that. And it's time to conclude this conversation for now, but let's talk again sometime.
Good.
Thank you
Yeah,
both so
fine.
much. Thank you for tuning in to TV2 today and Front Porch Conversations. Tune in again.